Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping how businesses operate across the Middle East. We're talking about AI agents and RAG systems, and specifically how they're transforming enterprise automation in Abu Dhabi. Sam, this is a fascinating convergence of technology and regional growth. What's drawing your attention most?
Great to be here, Alex. What really stood out to me is the sheer scale of this transformation. Abu Dhabi isn't just adopting AI, it's doing so at a 32% compound annual growth rate through 2026, with enterprise automation representing over a third of all AI investments. That's not a gradual shift, that's a fundamental reordering of how businesses operate in the region.
Those numbers are striking. For our listeners who might be less familiar with the distinction, can you break down what we actually mean by AI agents versus RAG systems? They're often lumped together, but they're solving different problems, aren't they?
Absolutely. AI agents are autonomous systems that can perceive their environment, make decisions, and take action. They're like having a digital employee that learns and adapts in real time. RAG systems, on the other hand, are about grounding AI responses in actual company data. Think of RAG as giving your AI system access to your enterprise knowledge base, so it stops making things up and starts being factually accurate.
That making things up problem, what's often called hallucination in AI circles, seems critical for regulated industries. Are those the ones driving adoption in Abu Dhabi?
Precisely. Finance, healthcare, and government sectors in Abu Dhabi operate under strict compliance requirements, UAE data protection law, upcoming digital trust frameworks, and EU AI Act alignment. A 71% error reduction with RAG systems compared to standard language models is the difference between a helpful tool and a liability. When you're processing financial transactions or handling patient records, that difference is existential.
So we're seeing this adoption across Abu Dhabi's major sectors. Can you give us a concrete example of what this actually looks like in practice? How does an enterprise in Abu Dhabi deploy these systems?
Imagine a banking institution in Abu Dhabi processing loan applications. An AI agent handles initial document submission, data extraction, and compliance checks autonomously 24/7. Meanwhile, the RAG system retrieves relevant regulatory documents, past case examples, and customer profiles from the bank's internal systems. The agent uses that grounded information to make preliminary decisions, flag exceptions, and route complex cases to human reviewers. You eliminate months of backlog, reduce human error, and stay compliant.
That's a powerful combination. You mentioned Abu Dhabi is positioning itself as a global AI hub, with the AI Endowment Fund and the Advanced Technology Research Council. How mature is the ecosystem supporting these deployments?
The infrastructure is surprisingly sophisticated. Abu Dhabi has over 800 technology companies and more than 120 AI startups, many specifically building enterprise solutions. What's different from other regions is the policy alignment. There's genuine coordination between government, research institutions, and the private sector to make this work. The challenge isn't availability of solutions, it's ensuring they're deployed responsibly and with proper governance oversight.
Governance and oversight. That seems to be a recurrent theme. In the UAE, are there specific guidelines companies need to follow when implementing AI agents?
Yes, and this is where EtherDEV's sovereign AI approach becomes relevant. The UAE AI Institute and Digital Dubai Initiative emphasize transparency and accountability in autonomous systems. For enterprises, that means implementing what's called AI-led architecture planning, essentially designing your system from the ground up with compliance requirements in mind, not bolting them on afterward. It's more rigorous up front, but it saves you from costly redesigns.
Interesting. So the regulatory environment isn't seen as a barrier, it's actually shaping best practices. What are you hearing from enterprises in Abu Dhabi about their biggest concerns when deploying these systems?
There are 3 consistent pain points. First, data quality. RAG systems are only as good as the information they retrieve, so ensuring clean, organized internal data is non-negotiable. Second, integration with legacy systems. Many enterprises have decades-old infrastructure that wasn't built with AI in mind. And third, talent. Finding people who understand both the technical implementation and the compliance landscape is genuinely difficult, even in Abu Dhabi's thriving tech scene.
Those are universal challenges, but the legacy systems piece seems particularly acute in a region with such rapid growth. How are organizations tackling that?
Pragmatically, they're not ripping and replacing. Instead, they're building API layers that allow new AI systems to communicate with older systems without overhaul. It's slower than a greenfield build, but it's how you maintain business continuity. Some of the more advanced enterprises are also running parallel systems, testing AI automation on non-critical workflows first, then expanding once they've validated the approach and trained their teams.
Let me ask this from a business impact angle. For a mid-sized enterprise in Abu Dhabi, what kind of ROI are we talking about when they implement AI agents and RAG systems?
The early data is compelling. Most enterprises report 40 to 60% reduction in processing time for routine tasks. That translates directly to cost savings or redirected labor toward higher value work. More importantly, error rates drop dramatically because you're removing human fatigue from repetitive decisions. And for customer-facing applications, you're running operations continuously, which some enterprises report adds 15 to 20% capacity without hiring more people.
Those are significant numbers. For someone listening in Abu Dhabi right now who's considering this for their organization, what should be their first step?
Start with a use case audit. Identify workflows that are repetitive, high volume, and don't require complex judgment calls. Those are your quick wins. Then assess your data infrastructure. If your internal knowledge is scattered across dozens of systems with no standardization, that's your first blocker. And finally, engage with your compliance and legal teams early. Don't treat them as obstacles, treat them as partners in designing a system that actually works within your regulatory environment.
That's excellent practical guidance. Sam, zooming out, where do you think this is heading in the next 2 to 3 years for Abu Dhabi's enterprises?
I think we're going to see more vertical-specific solutions, RAG systems and agents fine-tuned for banking, healthcare, logistics, real estate. Right now, many solutions are still somewhat generic. As the market matures, you'll have specialized tools with regulatory requirements and industry best practices baked in. That's where the real competitive advantage emerges.
That makes sense. Commoditization and specialization happening simultaneously. Listeners, if you want to explore this in much greater depth, including specific compliance frameworks, real-world case studies, and technical implementation details, head over to etherlink.ai and check out the full article on AI agents and RAG systems for enterprise automation in Abu Dhabi. Sam, thanks for walking us through this.
Pleasure, Alex. It's an exciting time for enterprises in the region, and the technology is genuinely enabling them to compete on a global stage.
That's all for this episode of EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with more on how AI is transforming the enterprise landscape.